We are taught to look down upon money. At the same time, we are also taught to worship money. But we are not taught how to understand money, let alone manage it. And that is why this relationship is so complicated. When I tell stories, I dwell on numbers, so I've come with some numbers. A recent survey revealed that only 27% of Indian adults are financially literate. That's a little more than a quarter, barely. Do you know what the number is in the United Kingdom? 67% adults in the UK are financially literate. 59% in Singapore, 57% in the United States. So we have a long way to go. In India, people are often misled on the pretext of financial advice, which is also a reason why a lot of people do not want to invest in formal structures, because they don't know how to go about it, and they are scared of being duped. They're tricked into making bad investments, and all of this happens because we do not have the basic financial skills. A lot of people apply for credit cards blindly. Nothing against credit cards, but you have to use them judiciously, like everything else. They get debt trapped, they borrow more money to pay older loans, and this is a vicious cycle they get into. I was recently looking at an RBI report which said that almost 43% of the Indian population is borrowing money from informal sources. 43%, and that means 43% of our people are paying higher interest than they have to. They don't have to do it, but they do it because they don't know better. And that is where initiatives like this come in. So it is our duty, all of us sitting in the hall, to sort of start the process of change to make financial literacy mainstream. Most importantly, I think we should encourage schools to do this. 60% of Indian school students do not understand investment. They do not understand the concept of risk and reward. 45% students do not know how to make a budget. We've been talking about the need for financial education. We've been speaking at length about what other countries are doing. Denmark, for instance, they've made financial literacy mandatory. In America, schools on financial management, personal finance management is compulsory in many, many schools. Those lessons are compulsory. Norway, Sweden, Canada, Israel, we've been doing stories on these countries because they have very high financial literacy rates. So maybe we can learn something from them, see what they're doing, and what can be replicated here in India. Another subject that some of you briefly touched was that finance has been considered a domain for men and a domain for educated men. And I think it's a myth that needs to be busted urgently. We must evolve out of this thinking. And I'll tell you why I think so. For generations, we've all had mothers and grandmothers who secretly save money. You'll see some rolled cash under a mattress or in a rice container or a jewelry box. And we saw some of those stashes come out during demonetization, and we asked them, where were you hiding all of this, right? But that was their way of saving for a rainy day. That was their way of taking a little money out of the monthly budget just in case there's an emergency. So I would say that budgeting and saving comes naturally to women, and especially Indian women. I mean, there are 100-odd things at least in an average Indian kitchen, and your mother does not have an Excel sheet. She has it all here. She knows that in 10 days I'll run out of this, and I will need this 1 week from now. They're naturally good at it. And imagine what will happen if we teach them financing, if we teach them investment, the money that they've saved, the money that they've been keeping, if we can teach them how to make that money grow and not, keep it stashed under the mattress. It could be a game changer, I think, not just on a personal level, but an institutional level, even a national level. There was a recent survey of the Jan Dhan accounts, and it threw up some very interesting findings. The average balance maintained by women is 30% more than men. Women tend to save. Today, more women are also earning. Women are leading startups at various levels, leading big companies, also selling pickles and papad and, making clothes, starting food delivery businesses. But I think earning money is not enough. Just earning alone is not enough. It does not make a woman financially independent. She needs to know that she has the right over her money, that it's hers to spend, it's hers to control. She needs to know her financial rights, and she also, more importantly, needs to know that there are grievance redressal mechanisms in case she does not have access to her own money. She must be made aware of the various ways in which she can save, invest, and roll her money. And like you guys said, a lot of women still, irrespective of which social strata they come from, they depend on the male members of their family to make those financial decisions, their husband or their father. They are the ones who decide how the taxes will be filed. They are the ones who decide which stocks and bonds you will invest in. Only 33% of Indian women take independent financial decisions. 64% men take independent financial decisions. We need to double this 33%, because that is the only way for real empowerment to come. We have to make women more financially skilled, and there is no better time to do this than now. Digitization is a huge gift. You don't have to go to a bank, you don't have to stand in a long queue, you don't have to fill those long, very difficult to fill forms anymore. It's all on your smartphone at your fingertips. You can do it. Digitization, of course, has also made people more vulnerable to financial fraud, and that is why it is important to learn what to do and how to do, and learn it from the experts to be able to make your money work. Financial independence is empowerment. It is also the first step towards parity and equality. A woman who has good savings and a sense of investment will not be suppressed by money power. A woman who is financially skilled, who has an insurance, will not think twice before spending on her own health care, on her own well-being. Studies have shown that a woman who is financially independent is more likely to walk out of an abusive relationship because she knows she has options, she has avenues, she can support herself. A woman who is financially independent can take care of her elderly parents. She can share caregiving responsibilities, she can send her daughter or even son to the school of their choice. And most of us in this room may not feel some of these challenges, but for a lot of women, these are issues that define their existence. So making financial literacy accessible to women will be a game changer, I say, at an institutional level. And our challenge in India is very big. And I keep coming back to numbers because numbers give you a clear picture of where we stand. 62% Indian women either don't have a bank account, or if they have, they don't have direct access to it. Someone else is controlling it for them. So they may have the money notionally, but they'll never be able to take out the money without the permission of that one man in their house. And if we improve this number, we will make a difference to the economy at a national level. Teaching a woman from rural India how to save the resources that she has will make local banks stronger. Introducing her to phone banking or cashless payments will make digital India stronger. If you teach women how to invest, you increase participation in the stock market. So financial literacy, ladies and gentlemen, I think is an asset. It's a national asset, and we have the potential to double it by making women part of this. What we need to do is ensure that our women are financially aware, financially skilled, and financially wise.